hope that you enjoyed the story of the Three Little Pigs. Now we're going to talk about it a little bit. So get those reader's hats on. Let's look at our reader's toolkit to get us in the right mindset, okay? So we already talked about waking up words, stretching out words, our Letterlander friends, and picture clues. Well, look, I added 2 new tools at the bottom here. What I want you to notice about these tools, the 4 that we already talked about in the last video, is that those help us look at individual words when we're decoding or trying to figure out what one word says. But now, I want to think about these new tools which are going to help us look at the story as a whole or a whole book. We're going to zoom out from the word level and go all the way to the story level, right? So we have words, the words come together and make sentences, and the sentences come together to form a story, and we're going to start looking at that bigger picture. So to help us do that, one of the things we're going to look at are the characters. We're also going to keep in mind the plot. I'm going to explain what those mean now. So first, we're going to look at the characters. Character is who is in the story. Sometimes those are people, sometimes they're animals. If you are going to talk about a story, you're thinking about what happens in a story. That's our next part. But who it happens to, or who is doing the action in the story, those are the characters. One of my friends from KX told me that actors are characters in movies, and you're totally on the right track there. Actors play characters in movies. And then there are also characters in plays and books, and there you go. So thank you to my KXer who told me that the other day. So now if we think about plot is what happened in the story. So what happened to those characters, or what did they do? If you meet a friend who hasn't heard of the Three Little Pigs before, and you're going to say, oh my goodness, it is an amazing story, I'm going to tell you all about it. There is a wolf and 3 pigs, those are the characters, and they start building houses, and some of them get blown down, and some of the characters get eaten. All of those things are plot points. Those are that's what happens in the story. So we're going to talk a little bit about the characters and the plot and the 3 Little Pigs. So, before we get started, I want to give you a thinking moment to start thinking about which characters were in this story. I might have just given you a hint. Any ideas? Okay, let's get started. Let's begin with one of our 3 Little Pigs. I hope you can see that. I think I should write it in a darker color. So I wrote pig number 1 because there are 3 pigs and they don't really have names, so that's gonna be how we keep track of them. This first pig, some of the plot he was involved in was that he built a house out of straw. That's a little pile of straw. And this is our pig. I'm going to do some drawing in addition to writing. So that's our pig number 1 and his straw. And I want you to think about, how would you describe the first little pig? Did he work hard? Was he kind? Did he help others? No, no? You said no? So, He built a house out of straw, which was the quickest and easiest way to do it, and he didn't really care that much about the end result, if the house was sturdy or safe or strong. So we could say that he was a little bit careless. He wasn't very hardworking. I'm going to write those down. Okay. Let's move on to the second pig. Pig number 2. He built his house out of sticks. So let's think about his character. He was pretty similar to the first pig, right? Because he also didn't work very hard, and he didn't really care if his house was that strong. So he's... What do you think, Nala? Same? Nala's less involved today than she was. So I'm going to put also not hardworking. Maybe like a little bit lazy. Okay. I think we're ready for our third and final pig. Oh no, my red marker. Because he built his house out of bricks. So, about his character. He built his house out of bricks. And in the story it said that took him a long time, but that it was well worth it. So he was probably harder working because he was willing to put in the time and the effort to make a strong house. He was also thoughtful and careful because he knew that he needed a house to protect him. He also, do you remember what he did with the wolf? He went along with the wolf when the wolf said, oh, let's go pick apples, or let's go pick turnips, let's go to that fair. He said, okay, but then he agreed to a time and then showed up at a different time. So he was also a little bit tricky. He tricked the wolf, kind of outsmarted the wolf. I'm going to put down a few of those. Now, let's move on to our last major character, the wolf. I'm going to attempt a wolf. Let's see. That's what's important. And let's think about the wolf's character. I think the wolf is the most complex character. He's hungry. He goes after the pigs. He eats 2 of them. He tries to trick the 3rd pig. Doesn't work. He ends up getting eaten himself by pig number 3. He pretends to be the 3rd pig's friend, right? When really he's just trying to eat him. I don't think that's very nice. Some people might think the wolf is evil because he eats the first 2 pigs. I'm not sure if I agree with that. Because wolves are natural predators. They have to eat other animals to survive. So I don't know if that was really his fault. But when he pretends to be the 3rd pig's friend, and he's really not, doesn't want to be his friend, that's the part that I think makes him mean. So I do think he's mean, but maybe it's for a different reason. I'm going to put some of those characteristics down now. For the last part of this video, I want to call your attention to what we did just now. I'll move this a little bit closer. So as we went through and thought about what we knew about the character of the inside character of each character, so the characteristics, what kind of animal are they? As I was considering each of those, I used plot points to back up my opinions. So when I said that I think that the 1st pig is not hardworking, the reason that I know that, or that I think that, is because he built his house out of hay or straw and did the fastest method possible and didn't care about the result. So it was something that happened in the story, an event in the story, that gave me information on what kind of character pig number 1 is. And we did that again with, for example, pig number 3. We said that he was hardworking and careful. And the reason I thought that was because he built a house out of bricks, and that was difficult and it took a long time, but he did it because he wanted a sturdy, strong house. So I'm using something that happened in the story to give me more information on the kind of character pig number 3 is. So I hope that this makes sense to you. If you have any questions, please have an adult help you post it on Seesaw and I will answer it for you. But now, I have a challenge for you all. I sent home reading reflection pages with you in your distance learning kit. And there's one that has a box on the top and a box on the bottom, and it says a character in the story is and something that happened in the story is. And I'll attach it to the PowerPoint as well so you can see which page I'm talking about. But my challenge to you is to draw or write or even record a video of you talking or acting out something about at least one character and at least one part of the story. And you can add your thoughts and have an adult help you post it on the Seesaw app, and I'll respond back to it. It would be great if you could add more than one character, more than one part of the story, because the more of your thoughts that I get to see, the better. And I'm really excited to see your work and to reply back to you. And then we're going to talk more about the 3 Little Pigs tomorrow, but we're going to see it from the wolf's point of view instead of the pigs. So thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye!